I am very proud of the track record of Thailand when it comes to religious freedom. In Thailand, we have 6 recognized religions, namely the 2 Christian sects, the Roman Catholic and the Protestant, the Sikh religion, the Hindu Brahmin, Islam, and then the Buddhist order. And not only of the freedom of religious practices, but I think the ability of the Thai society for hundreds and hundreds of years to assimilate people with different races, languages, and religious beliefs, and so on. And at the same time, I'm also quite proud that we did have, although the Buddhists are the majority in the country, but one of Thailand's foremost foreign minister, Dr. Sulin Pitsuwan, is a Muslim. We have an army chief, also a Muslim, and then one of the speakers of the House of Representatives, also a Muslim. And of course, the Sikh and the other religious believers, citizens in Thailand, they did rise up the rank, whether in the private sector, in the governmental services, and so on. Then what are the challenges? I think the challenges is that because the spillover from outside the region, from outside the border, of the utilization of religious belief for political ends, the incitement, of certain segment of the population to hate other people with different beliefs and religious affiliation, and so on. A case in point at the moment is what's happening in the neighboring country, Myanmar in particular. There is now a group of radical Buddhist monks by the name, I think led by, his name is Viran Tu. And I think it's not only anti-Islam as such, but there is a movement to turn Myanmar into a Buddhist state religion, Buddhism as a state religion and Buddhist dominated. That has some sort of a spillover into Thailand. So that's the danger, not to allow that to happen. At the same time, we have to keep on checking, monitoring, and warning ourselves that not only not to allow any of the monks to become radicalized, but at the same time not to allow any political parties or social leaders or activists to start using religions or religious belief as a way to gain dominance politically and to turn Thailand as very much of a secular state into a sort of a religious affiliated or orientation, and so on. I think when you use the word parliamentarian, I think you have to add another word, political parties. Yes. Because in this democratic parliamentary system, the political party is the medium. And inside the political parties are politicians or parliamentarians, and so on. So I make it a sort of a one term. Political parties and their members have to keep on, I think for the case of Thailand, maintain that openness, that tolerance, that cohabitation. Because you could, if you walk along the streets of Bangkok or any of the towns all over Thailand, you would not be surprised of the fact that Buddhist temple and the Muslim mosque and the Christian churches do exist side by side, and there are no gaps, no divide between the Thai citizens of different religious belief and adherences, and so on. And I think the duty of the politicians and the political parties and parliamentarians is to ensure that Thailand move along this as it has been for hundreds and hundreds of years, and not to allow any extreme or radical thinking come into a sort of the party politics or inter-party discussion, and so on. That is very, very important. And at the same time is to be aware of what's going on around the world and to do the networking. And there is one body in Southeast Asia, the ASEAN Parliamentarian for Human Rights. It's an organization regionally based, but it's having a lot of activities cross-border, in the region of Southeast Asia. I think this is what we have to do individually inside our own country. Second, networking with other fellow parliamentarians to keep on pushing the notion of freedom of belief, of expression, the human dignity, all of this and so on. I think it's very important because parliamentarians are the people that link between the state power and the ordinary people. So they have very important role, not only the linkage about the policy of the government, but to go down to the people and explain. And at the same time, they could also initiate things, not only protecting religious freedom or freedom of expression, but also to help to explain and to ensure that activities inside and outside the parliament go accordingly and to be void of any extremism or radical thinking. I think at one time I had an official visit to Rome, to meet my counterpart at that time, the Italian foreign ministers. I think we have the joint commission to do that annually and so on. But I think my presence in Rome came to the knowledge of the Vatican authorities. So they have invited me, they did invite me to go to the Vatican and started to talk about the interfaith dialogue. And I was being asked that when I get back to Bangkok, could I also, or my government at that time, initiate inter-religious dialogue and so on, which we did organize and so on. And at the same time, we always have representatives to the interfaith dialogue or the civilization forum and so on. So that's the personal experience, and I think the initiative forthcoming from the Vatican is a very good one. At the same time, I think the Pope, I think during the Buddhist important events, the Visakha Puja in June, usually May, June, there will be a sort of a note forthcoming for the Vatican to the Buddhist religious leaders. I think that's a very healthy thing, and I think that is into the positive direction. And I think myself, I have been meeting different religious leaders in Thailand and to ask them on how to help to move the society and then to seek for the commonalities of the belief. I think the question of tolerance, the question of pluralism is a sort of basic teaching of all religions. And I think that should be built up and be made known to the people so that with a different religious belief, but the basic principle, there are a lot of commonalities that we could build up, disseminate, and then try to help the people to live together in a harmonious manner.